here. We're in the Pierce Brosnan era of Bond. We only have 8 more movies to go, 9 more episodes, and I'm done with this whole trek. It's taken me a lot less time than I thought it was going to take me. So I'm excited. This is Goldeneye from 1995. Very first Pierce Brosnan movie. Martin Campbell directed. We have Femke Janssen in this movie. We have Sean Bean in this movie. I will go into this with full disclosure. I have a very soft spot in my heart for this movie. Namely, Pierce Brosnan was my mother's favorite Bond. My mother died roughly 3 years ago, and she loved Pierce Brosnan. And I fully remember loving this movie. Once again, this was the very first James Bond movie I saw. I saw it in theaters in 1995 when I was like 12 years old. I just saw the previews and I had to go see it. And I was like, Mom, I have to go see the movie. She's like, you want to see a Bond movie? I'm like, what do you know about this movie? She's like, there's like 20,000 of these movies. I'm like, no. She's like, well, we'll go see Goldeneye. We'll see what you think. And watched it. And I remember being absolutely blown away as a 12-year-old. I didn't watch it again until I was like 20. And when I was 20, I still loved it. And I haven't seen it since then. So, God, like over 15 years, I haven't seen this movie. I just remember loving it. And I can say that it didn't change. This movie is so much fun. This is a absolute blast of a movie. And I see a lot of people kind of crapping on it online. Like, they crap on this and Die Another Day and all the other ones, all the other Pierce Brosnan movies. But this one, man, it is so good. It's so much fun. There are parts in the middle that drag a little bit, but it's so much fun. And it spawned like one of the greatest first-person shooters of all time with Goldeneye on Nintendo 64. But I'm gonna jump right into this. Pierce Brosnan was 42 when he did this, so he started kind of late. Martin Campbell directed, and he would go on to direct another great Bond movie in Casino Royale. That's another one that people tend to hate for some reason. I don't know why. I liked it. Maybe I have different a mindset than other people. But I'm going to go ahead and warn you, this is probably going to be a really long episode. I'm not expecting it to go like an hour or anything, but I feel like it'll go long. There's going to be a lot of little pictures I put up here in this area. I have a whole list. I actually write down the pictures that I'm going to download, and that's your list. It's so long it had to start over on the other side. So we're going to jump right in. This is the first Goldeneye is the first James Bond movie to appear on DVD. This is how kind of old this movie is. This is also the very first James Bond movie to use CGI, which is, a lot of people hate that, but I think it's cool. The original director of this, well, it wasn't really the original director. They offered John Woo to direct this movie, and he turned it down. This is Albert Broccoli's last fully produced Bond movie. After this, his daughter Barbara took over. So it's Barbara Broccoli from here on, which is kind of sad. And this movie it's not a reboot. It's a continuation of Bond, but it is completely recasted except for Q. So, and then they actually, there's an interesting thing about this movie is that they wrote this movie out, and another movie came out about the time they were finishing up the script. They were ready to go, ready to start shooting, and another movie came out that had almost an identical story to what they were originally going to go with. And that movie was True Lies. So they had to rewrite this movie almost completely, because this isn't a completely original story. This has nothing to do with an Ian Fleming novel like all the other ones. This is completely original, and they were writing it, and great minds think alike, and it was True Lies. So, this was almost True Lies. This is a little bit darker, but it'll work. But we're going to jump right in, like I said, man, because I want to get this going. We open on a giant dam. It's a dam, huge one. This dam, you can actually go to it. I don't know where it is exactly, but you can go to it and you can bungee jump off this dam if you want to, just like in the movie, because it starts with a guy bungee jumping off the dam. You can clearly tell it's not Bond, it's supposed to be Bond, but Pierce Brosnan was so deathly afraid of heights that he could not do this. He couldn't even stand on this dam. So it's clearly a stunt double. He hops down, he's going, and he stops and he hooks himself and brings himself in. He's sneaking into this dam. And he breaks into a bathroom where a guy is, well, using the bathroom. He's sitting down, so you know he's doing some business. And we get a bathroom assassin. We get our first look at Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, who looks every bit the part. He is charming, he is charismatic, he's smooth, he's believable as a badass. He's a great Bond. I personally absolutely love Pierce Brosnan as Bond. And not just because it was my mother's favorite, it's just he embodies Bond, just like Sean Connery embodied Bond. So we get in here and we see James Bond. And Pierce Brosnan was the original choice for Bond. He was always going to be this Bond, because he was actually supposed to be Bond in 1987, and this is 8 years later, and he's finally Bond. There were other people, because whenever you're making a movie, you do have to consider other actors to play the Bond, just in case something happens, like a contract dispute, lawsuits, something happens, and your actor cannot play the role that he is assigned to. So there were other people. Mel Gibson was one. Mel Gibson was asked, turned it down. There was another one that auditioned, and this one, I can kind of see it, but it would take a little bit getting used to, and that is Ralph Fiennes. Now the funny thing about Ralph Fiennes is he goes on to play M in Spectre. Maybe I think it's Skyfall and Spectre. It may be just Spectre, but he actually goes on to play M. So he got to be in the Bond universe, which is really cool. The next one, I cannot see as Bond. There's no way. Completely not believable as a badass. There's no. Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant, no way, not a chance. No, I can't imagine it. But whatever. And then there's one. This one's funny to me. This guy, they asked him to play Bond, right? And he turned it down because he didn't want to be pigeonholed into the action genre, and that is Liam Neeson. A lot of good that did. It didn't really work out for you, Liam. You're pigeonholed into the action genre. Thanks, Taken. You know, never loan Liam Neeson anything. It's going to get taken from him. So no, man, you don't loan anything to Liam Neeson, and you don't travel with Tom Hanks. So, but I mean, that's cool. There was one other guy. He was considered before, and this is really cool too. And that is the man who plays Alec Trevlin in the movie Sean Bean. He was actually considered to play Bond, but instead he is playing Alec Trevlin in this movie. He is a very important role, and Alec Trevlin is basically Bond's peer. He is like a 00. He's like a 00 agent. He is just as good as Bond. He's really smooth, really awesome. The thing is, when this movie was originally written, he wasn't supposed to be young and one of Bond's peers. He was actually supposed to be Bond's mentor. And they already had someone to play him, and that's Sir Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins was originally supposed to be Alec Trevlin. But Anthony Hopkins actually turned it down, and when he turned it down, they decided to go a little bit younger. And thus, Alec Trevlin, Sean Bean was born. But they end up infiltrating this center. They're going to blow it up, and Alec ends up getting sort of captured, and they shoot him dead. Pow, right in his head. Pow, pow. He's gone, and that makes Bond a little angry. So he has to escape either way. He's surrounded by gas tanks. They're shooting at him, and the big boss like, quit shooting at him. You're gonna blow up the place. And Bond uses some gas tanks as a shield. And one of the guys gets nervous and shoots at him. Doesn't blow anything up, but the bad guy turns around and just pops him. He's just like, really cool. cool. He's dead, so this bad guy's mean. He kills his own man for that. And after that, he does end up escaping, and he's running down a plane. He gets in the plane, but he doesn't. He's trying to throw the pilot out, but the pilot brings him with him. So now he has to chase down the plane again. Gets on a motorcycle, chases down the plane on a motorcycle. Very cool. And in one of the most Bond moments ever, the plane goes off the edge of the cliff. He goes off the edge of the cliff on the motorcycle and dives down. He's diving after the plane, gets in the plane, flies it away. Cool Bond moment. This opening was everything Bond could be. This is just shootouts, espionage, spies, sneaking, fights, and an amazing stunt. Loved this opening. This is wicked cool. Then we get to our title sequence, and we get our dancing ladies. Dancing. We got some gods over here, some guns, some women with sledgehammers beating stuff, some Russian imagery. It's very, okay, we're cool. We're in the Cold War still, all right. And you hear this really weird song playing in the background, which is Tina Turner. She is doing the song, and it's kind of a weird, it's a 90s thing, but it's like Goldeneye. It's kind of poppy. You're like, okay, cool. And at the end of it, though, you see at the end, it says, song performed by Tina Turner, written by Bono and The Edge. U2 wrote this song and Tina Turner sang it. That's odd in itself. And even odder still, Tina Turner was not the person who did the song. There was one other band that already did the song. They wrote it and performed it, and that's Ace of Base. I Saw the Sign, all that she wants is another baby. Yeah, very 90s. And they wrote the song, they performed it, finished it, mastered it, and it was ready to go. And they were like, we're gonna go with Tina Turner. Whoa. You can still hear the song though. The song is on one of their albums, and it's called The Juvenile. They actually changed the words to not have the words Goldeneye in it, but all they did was take out the words Goldeneye. So if you want to hear what Bond song could have been, The Juvenile by Ace of Base. And there you go. But we get right into it. We open up the movie, and we have 9 years later, which doesn't happen in a Bond movie. Usually you start right after, but this one starts 9 years later. The death of his friend. Okay, we're moving on. And so this would actually have taken place in 1987. So the point when James Bond, or the point when Pierce Brosnan was supposed to play James Bond, which is kind of a cool little thing I just figured out. That's neat. He's driving his Aston Martin, the beautiful Aston Martin. That's the 1963 version too. He is flying down the road with Carolyn, the one that we get where we only see her in the first part of the movie. He has sex with her, and then she never comes back. But they are being chased by a red Ferrari, and in that red Ferrari is, boom, Xenia on the top. She is gorgeous because she is Femkie Jansen. Now, Serena Gordon plays Carolyn, but Femkie Jansen is a different animal. She played Jean Grey in the X-Men movie. She was in the House on Haunted Hill remake, where, we all know that one. It's such a great movie. They have the Vincent Price, but it's not Vincent Price, it's Jeffrey Rush. I like that movie. I know some people didn't like it. I loved it. It's a good 90s movie. But Famke Janssen's so beautiful, and she plays such an awesome character in this. She's so mean and evil, but yeah, we get she chases. They actually don't catch her. She escapes, and then Bond and Carolyn gets down. Cool, whatever. We do learn more about Xenia in that she is a pilot. She's very mean. She plays cards with Bond and gets beaten, of course, as they do. But then we get to see her with a Russian diplomat, and we find out she's an assassin, and how she assassinates people is very strange. She grabs them around the waist with her legs and squeezes them until they have a heart attack, and there's just pure ecstasy when she's doing it. It sounds like a full-on sex scene. And it's like, whoa, this is crazy. And while she's doing this, Bond is trying to figure out what's going on, and he's taking people out with a towel. Just, you're like, okay, he's Bond. Do it. But Xenia ends up still in a helicopter. I'm skipping forward quite a bit, but she ends up still in a helicopter. That's where we find out she's a pilot, and it's just taking off, you know. So she's a little crazy. And where is she going? Well, she's going to go to this place because she actually has something with her. I'm going to be vague here. We go to it looks like it's in Siberia, somewhere cold, and it's like a research center. It's almost like NASA. It's very neat, lots of satellites and stuff. And we meet Natalia Siminova. She has a certain way she likes it to be said. That is Isabella Scorupco. See, whenever I first saw it, I thought it was Dina Meyer. I was like, wow, that's Dina Meyer. And then I watched close. I'm like, no, that ain't Dina Meyer. And I was like, but I recognize Isabella Scorupco from something. And then it like dawned on me, one of my favorite movies, Reign of Fire. Yeah, that's another one of those movies that not many people like, but I love that movie. Christian Bale, Gerard Butler, Matthew McConaughey. Like, it's about dragons. It's such a cool movie. If you haven't seen Reign of Fire, man, give it a shot. Wicked cool little 90s movie. Like, no, it's not going to win any Oscars. It's not a masterpiece, but it's awesome. And Isabella Scorupco's in it. But Natalia was not supposed to be played by Isabella Scorupco. There were some people before her. And one of those is one of the most gorgeous women to walk this earth, Elizabeth Hurley. She was actually in the running to play Natalia. My guess is that she couldn't pull off a Russian accent, but I'm probably wrong on that because Hurley's awesome. Then there was Elle Macpherson. Elle Macpherson, another beautiful woman, not quite as awesome as Elizabeth Hurley, still pretty awesome. And then the third was a very popular 90s actress in Angie Everhart. She was another one. But they ended up going with Isabella Scorupco, which I think that's a fantastic job because she did wonderful as this role. She's actually one of my favorite Bond girls. But while she's over here, we're figuring out what she's doing, and she's on the computer. She's kind of a hacker, and out of left field, someone that I didn't even realize was in the movie. There's two of these where I'm like, whoa, they're in this movie, and we see Alan Cummings. Like, I was like, wow, Alan Cummings, that's wicked cool. I love Alan Cummings. And he plays Boris. He's a hacker, and he's actually pretty freaking cool. But they're sitting here, they're hacking the place, and Xenia on the top pops up, and she's with the bad guy from the beginning of the movie that killed our Sean Bean, our Alec Trevlin. And they're here to do some damage, and they keep talking about Goldeneye. And they're like, okay, we're here, we're gonna do this. And Xenia freaking lays waste to everyone in the building. She just the whole time she's moaning and screaming, ecstasy, eyes are all in the back of her head. She's clearly enjoying herself, clearly not all there. I love Femke Jansen. She's a great actress. This is awesome. So she takes out this whole crew. We find out that they're after this satellite called Goldeneye, but we don't exactly know what it is yet because we kind of cut away while Xenia and the bad guy are trying to get things together, you know. And while during this time, Boris Alan Cummings is outside smoking. We don't know what happened to him. And then we have Natalia who's hiding. And then we cut back to the Bond part of the movie, and we see Moneypenny. This time played by Samantha Bond. That's right, Bond, Samantha Bond. She's playing Moneypenny now. Now we got a new Moneypenny, a young Moneypenny. The jury's still out on her because she wasn't really in this movie a lot, and she doesn't play as obsessed over Bond as the other ones are. So that's okay. And we meet the new M, which is Dame Judy Dench. Oh my God. It's a freaking Judy Dench, dude. I'm sorry, I love Judy Dench. She's so awesome in everything, and the fact that she plays this M, and it's a new M, it's so cool. But we find out what Goldeneye is right after this. We shoot back, and they set off Goldeneye. It's like, okay, what is Goldeneye? They let the countdown happen. They fly off in their helicopter. Okay, cool. What the heck is Goldeneye? And this satellite shoots laser, and you're like, oh, it's another laser. Not quite. This thing is a giant EMP. It shuts down all electricity and wipes out everything. There's lightning going off. It's making things explode. There's jets falling out of the sky. This is a destructive force, and it's awesome. I'm like, this is one of the coolest Bond bad guy weapons. I'm like, this is way cooler than just some laser. This is super cool. And then we go back to Bond, and we're like, okay, so it's an EMP. We know everything. Bond's talking to M, and this is where we see what kind of M is. And M is not like the original M. She does not take crap from James Bond. She sits down with James, and James is like kind of charming, sort of. And she's like, yeah, that's not going to work on me. She actually says, I wrote it down, she says, you are a misogynist relic, a dinosaur from the Cold War. And she goes on, paraphrasing now, she's like, I am not outside of sending an agent to their death, and that includes you. She is hardcore. And you're like, wow, she's a mean M. She does not care for Bond. But at the end of it, he's like, all right, I'm going to go do my thing. I'm going to go get Goldeneye back. And she's like, don't treat this as a revenge thing. We know that this guy did it and he killed Alec Trevlin. Do not go after revenge. Get Goldeneye back. It's like, okay. And then she redeems it by saying, please, Bond, come back alive. Cool. Very awesome little emotional scene. So far, this is awesome. We're going to go meet Q. He's going to give him a little belt thing that has a cord in it that he can like zip line out of place. Maybe do a little line dancing while he's at it, you know. And then we see the BMW. Wow, that BMW is amazing. That is a BMW C3 from '95. We actually don't get to see it driven much either, but behind the headlights slip down, missiles. You don't ever get to see it, but it's in there. He mentions it. I'm like, all right, nice. The BMW, the belt with the cord. The grenade pin. He has a pin, and if you click it 3 times, it arms. You've got a few seconds. You have to click it 3 times to disarm it. Cool little pin. And he actually shows Bond. He's like, hey, check this out. Puts it in the pocket of a little dummy there, and boom, it's really big. He's like, oh, that. And then because Bond used to say smashing every time he would do, smashing. He did it. He looks at Bond and says, don't you say it. He's like, what, the writing's on the wall? And even Q is like, okay, that's a good one. Yeah. Then there is a little funny moment to kind of break up the heaviness of what's going on. And Bond is like looking at the table, and he picks up this huge hoagie sandwich. He's like, what is this? And Q is like, that is my lunch. Very cool moment. I like it. But now Bond is going to fly off to Russia, and he meets up with Joe Don Baker again. So Joe Don Baker is back. He was in not the last movie, but the one before it, as a bad guy, and he died. And now he's a good guy, completely different character. And here's another thing. This is not the last time you see Joe Don Baker. Joe Don Baker comes back again as another character later. So Joe Don Baker's back. We find out that Boris is still alive, but now he's working with Xenia and the bad guys. And they find and take Miss Natalia. It's like, oh, we're gonna take her. And they get her because she's snooping, pretty much. And that happens. And while Bond is out looking for a guy, here's the other little person I can't believe is in this movie. It's really weird. He goes to this Russian nightclub, and he's going to be talking to the owner, and the owner's mistress is up on stage singing a really horrible version of Stand By Your Man. And the camera gets close in on her, and it's Minnie Driver. like the Mini Driver, Goodwill Hunting's Mini Driver. I'm like, holy crap! This must have been one of her first films. I found out she made $5,000 for singing in this film, and it's really bad. Like, it's purposely bad. And she's like, "Stand by your man." It's in like a Russian. It's like, it's so good. But and Bond makes a joke about it. He's like, "Man, can't you get some real talent?" He's like, he shoots Bond in between the legs, doesn't hit him, but it like scares him. He's like, "That's my mistress." It's like, it's his mistress. So we get one of the most famous things right after this, because Bond goes into a sauna. This is one of the most famous fights in, I would say, the Bond series, where he fights Xenia Onatopp in the sauna. And they're fighting. They're actually kind of kissing and getting kind of fresh with each other. And then Xenia starts beating him up, and Bond starts fighting back, and he's just beating him up, starts fighting him back. Everything's cool, but he gets the better of her and has one of the best lines in the history of the Bond series, when he's no more foreplay, and he has the gun, and it's great. And one of the coolest things about this scene was there is a scene where Bond slams her against the wall really hard, and during the making, Femke and Pierce are fighting, and she says, "Okay, we got to make this look real. Slam me against the wall as hard as you can." And he's like, he's like, "Okay," and he does it. See, the wall's kind of padded, but not padded enough, because he slams her against the wall, and Femke Jansen actually broke 2 of her ribs doing this fight. And you can actually see kind of pain in her face at one point, where she's like, bang, she's like, like that. But she keeps going because she's a pro. And I looked up more about Femke Jansen after reading that. This is not the first time she's done this. She did some of her own driving stunts in this. Like when she's driving in the beginning of the movie, some of that's actually Femke Jansen. And she is known for doing a lot of her own stunts, and she's known for getting hurt doing a lot of her own stunts. So good on you, Femke Jansen. I've said it in an earlier episode. I am a big fan of people who do their own stunts, and Femke does it. So, and I really hope I'm saying her name right. This is how I've said it my whole life, Famke Janssen. But maybe Femke Jansen, maybe. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm saying the first part right. If I'm not, I apologize. But so, broken ribs. Bond's getting out. He's gonna have to get out there and figure out where he's at. But someone stops him. Bond, wait! And he comes out of the shadows, and it's Alec Trevlin. He's alive. Alec Trevlin is alive. He's like, oh man, so he's got scars on his face now. And he's like, yeah, Bond, yeah, if you wouldn't have set that bomb for 3 minutes, if you would have set it for 6 minutes like you were supposed to, then I may have survived. So he blames Bond and boom, shoots Bond in the throat, but it's a tranq dart. And he's out. So but Bond does wake up with Miss Natalia screaming at him, hey, you wake up, and they're trapped in a helicopter. And they're on the ground, but the helicopter's missiles are going to go off in like a minute. And the thing is, the missiles are targeted for the helicopter, so they're going to go out and come back to the helicopter. Gotcha. Bond wakes up, he's tied down, he doesn't know what to do. I'm a little tied up at the moment, and he's like looking around, and he just starts headbutting shit. Bam, bam, and he like sets things off, he headbutts things, the missiles are coming back, he headbutts the eject button, flies off, saves the day, boom, boom, all that, and he finally gets out. So now he's going to have to go into the hideout, and he's going to escape because he has to get out that way. He's got the gun. He's pew, 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 pew. It's an escape pew, pew moment. And he eliminates like 20 dudes in this, and he's just peeking around the corner. Da-da-da, da-da-da. And it's really cool. Natalia doesn't really have a gun, but she's trying to help out the best she can. She does end up getting taken. She falls through the floor, and they catch her, and they're like, we got her. And Bond's like, screw it. But he bolts. So he gets out of there. And then they're going to take her, but he's like, I got to go back for her. And then we has Chase. Oh, you're telling me that the bad guys get in their car, and Bond gets in his BMW and chases him? No. The bad guys get in the car, and he gets in a freaking tank. He's driving a tank down the streets, blowing things away, running over crap. At one point, there's a statue of a horse that gets attached to the top of the tank, so now it looks like a horse is going. It gets scraped off by a bridge, and he's just blowing people away. man, it was nuts, and it's so good. He ends up getting caught again, though. He gets out of the tank and everything. He ends up getting caught, and they take him to a train. And this is where there's another cameo, and it's something strange. I mean, we see the cameo right here. Yeah, that's the train. That's the missile train. And but it looks, I mean, it's played by Sam the Eagle from the Muppets. I mean, if you see, it's all in the nose. It's a mask. You can see. That was a bad joke, but the train's cool because they're in the train. And this is one of the more tense moments because Bond is having a standoff with Alec. He's already survived like 2 assassination attempts, and he's having a standoff with Alec. He's like, yo, I'll let the girl go if you know. And he's like, I don't care, kill the girl. What does she mean to me? You know, and she's like, oh, thanks. But she does mean something because he turns around and kills the big bad. The big bad from the beginning of the movie. He's holding a gun to her head, and he's like, boom, and there. But that leaves Xenia and Alec to escape. So they get out of the train, but the problem is Alec locks down the train. And he said, well, I'm giving you a bomb here, and if you can get through the bottom of the train, good luck with that. Good luck with getting out of here, but I'll give you the same 6 minutes you gave me. And even Natalia, what does that mean? It means we have 3 minutes. And she's hacking, and she's gonna I'm gonna find out where they are. And he's hacking, okay, cool. And he's like getting out. And he's like, all right, I'm out. We gotta go now. And she's like, but I found out where he is. Oh, where? Click, boom. They found out where he is. They get out of the train. Boom, boom. Train's gone. And it is really tense. And it's like at the end of it, they end up start kissing, you know, and kiss action. It's all right. And they're like, all right. So now we got to get to where you said they were. All right. They find a biplane. They fly the biplane out there. And they're like, okay, I don't see a satellite. We're looking for a huge satellite. I don't see a huge satellite anywhere. I don't know. But then a missile comes out of the water, blows the plane down. They wreck. And they kind of wake up, and Xenia's there to destroy Bond. She's like fighting Bond. Natalia tries to help, tries to hit her with a stick, but Xenia catches. She's like, you wait your turn, and then just knocks her out. And then they're fighting, and Bond finally sees a helicopter, and he attaches her to the helicopter. The helicopter flies off. She gets stuck between 2 sticks, and it crushes her, just like she's been crushing all these dudes all this time. And she's gone. And I was like, what? And she always did like a tight squeeze. Ooh, Bond. Yeah. No empathy at all. None. But anyway, we go forward here. We're going to skip a little bit because we're in the third act. We're going to get it. We're seeing this huge satellite. Massive. Football field sized satellite. And it's huge. And I was like, man, that's a big satellite. And this thing is a real working satellite. It's actually where it is and works. And I was like, well, it also looks kind of familiar, and that's because it's the satellite from Contact, the Matthew McConaughey, Jodie Foster vehicle, yeah, from that movie. And I think Jake Busey was in it. And but yeah, it's from Contact. I'm like, all right, that is a real working satellite. That's really cool. And we get into it, and we find out, because Sean Bean is even like, why won't you just be a good dog and die? It's like, all right. But he, you know, as we do with Bond movies, the bad guy has to give away his plan. And we find out what the plan is because he sees the hacker. We see Boris working his magic, working his hacking magic, you know. And he is transferring money from Paris to, or not Paris, but from somewhere to Alex Trevlin. He's to his bank accounts. So what he's doing is he's stealing the money, and then he's going to hit the EMP. That way no one can ever find it. It's like, okay, so you're a petty thief, basically. Even Bond's kind of like, you're a petty thief is what you are. Like, no, I'm a exceptional thief. Screw you. And but our girl Natalia actually ends up kind of sabotaging it. And she like hacks in and everything. And then the Boris, who's supposed to be a better hacker than her, can't figure it out. He's like, tell me what the passcode is. And she's like, okay, sorry. And he's like, no, I can figure this out. And he's sitting down, and he ends up with Bond's pen, and he's just spinning in his freaking things. And sorry, I just dropped that. And And Bond's just like, oh my god. He's like spinning his little heart out, click, 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 spinning it, click, 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 and he's going crazy. And it's like, oh my god. And Bond finally, he knows it's about to go off, so he slaps it out of his hand, and it blows up everything. Because Bond has already set this place up to blow. And he had a bomb set, but Alec already knew what was going on, so he defused it. He's like, oh yeah, your watch? Yeah, boop, done. It's already defused. But boom booms, things happen, and Bond is running out to stop the satellite. Alec's chasing him. They're fighting they has fights on the satellite. Alec falls off. Bond's holding on to him, and he's like, oh, are you going to kill me now for England? He's like, no, that's for me. Just lets him go and falls on the satellite, but he's still alive. The thing still blows up, though, because the EMP, gone. They got rid of the EMP. It blew up. It got into orbit and fried. Satellite falls onto Alec Trevlin. He's squished. He is gone. The only person alive is Mr. Boris. I am invincible. He says that a lot in the movie. And he actually survives the big explosion. He gets up, looks around. I am invincible. But there's one more explosion that blows up the cryo tanks, cryogenically freezing Boris in this position. And that's it. Bond and Natalia end up having some action. Credits roll. Fun times. It's actually a funny ending to the end because they're like in the middle of the field and she's like, should we be doing this? And he's like, there's no one out here for miles. And then Joe Don Baker shows up and he's like, hey, you guys ready to go back? Because, I mean, he's like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah. He's like, well, where's the rest of your crew? He's like, oh, them? And he's like, hey, guys, let's go. And all the guys pop up out of the field. they're like, oh, dude, we weren't alone. He's like, yeah, you might want to debrief her out here alone somewhere. It's like, credits roll. The end. Goldeneye. I gave this one, I love this. This is so great. But there are two movies that are better than it so far. I give this 8.5. The reason why I gave it 8.5, not a 9, is because there was parts in the middle that dragged a little bit. Also, while Pierce Brosnan was awesome in this, you can't really, like, when he says, I'm Bond, James Bond, I'm like, maybe you are, but like when Sean said it the first time, when Sean Connery was like, I'm Bond, James Bond, I'm like, yeah, you are, dang right. When Roger Moore said it, I was like, yeah, maybe. When Timothy Dalton said it, I was like, no, you're not. But Pierce Brosnan, I'm like, yeah, he's pretty cool. So he hasn't found his footing as Bond yet. So maybe in the next one, but 8.5. And here's the crazy part. Body count 47. 47 people gone. Love count 2. He got 2 girls. Never got with Xenia on the top. But I loved this movie. This was every bit as fun as I remember it being. This is so much fun. So I think I am biased towards the more modern Bonds because this is what I grew up with. I mean, I was born in the 80s, so I didn't see the older Bonds. I didn't see the first Sean Connery Bond until I was late teens. So I'm probably a little biased towards this. So whenever we get to the ranking episode, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that the modern Bonds are going to be set pretty high compared to the other ones. But, and if this keeps up, man, like, Pierce Brosnan is going to be ranked really high on the Bond list. As it stands, man, Timothy Dalton's without a doubt the worst. But, so, next time, we have, I think, Tomorrow Never Dies. Yes, Tomorrow Never Dies from 97. Roger Spottiswoode was our director. I believe it's his only thing he ever directed of Bond. I do believe. Yes. Pierce Brosnan's back in his second outing. We have the most awesome Michelle Yeoh. I love her. Terry Hatcher is in this movie, which is cool. Weird villain, Elliot Carver. Our Aston Martin is back. That's our DB5. We have another BMW, and this one's another weird one. Sheryl Crow does our song. It's cool, but I'm excited for that. Tomorrow Never Dies. I'll probably watch that tonight, do that episode tomorrow. I can't believe I'm actually almost through with this. This is so cool. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you for Tomorrow Never Dies.